Hello, everybody, and welcome to another 12 FPS. My name is Magic. Today I'm going to be playing Duster, a small, very nervous rat, and today I am here with my lovely co-player.
Hey, what's up? It's me, Obby, and today I'm going to be playing Ruby Red, a child.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
A child.
Do you want to describe what Ruby is doing first, or should I describe what Duster's doing first?
Hmm. Well, I do know, in fact, what Ruby's planning to do today, so perhaps I can give the rundown of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Ruby has spent some time in both Little Corner and the ruins near Little Corner. The whole ruined all. Yeah. And at Little Corner, there is a library, and Ruby is a child who likes learning. So today she plans to go to the library and borrow some books. Yeah, borrow.
Borrow.
you
With a
know,
non-existent
no,
library card. Anyway.
yeah, non-existent library card, and with no intention of returning them ever.
Alright, um, Duster. Duster had, like, finally managed to fall asleep somewhere, and it just so happened to be in the exact basket that Ruby is carrying.
Ah, yes, her picnic basket, the
Yeah,
one she carries everywhere.
yeah.
Aw.
And, currently, Duster's just kind of chilling in there.
Just doing a chill,
He's just
doing a
chilling, doing a
snooze,
sleep, doing a sleep.
doing a sleep. Oh boy. I imagine that like entering the library, Ruby like accidentally bumps it against something.
Oh boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm not even gonna roll for that.
Yeah.
Duster just wakes up. Just
Fear.
instantly. If you could see Duster, he would have just like jumped halfway onto the wall of the basket before realizing where he was.
Just clinging to the wicker. Just
Yeah,
all paws.
there's like a
Oh,
slight
baby.
amount of light like coming in from the how like when you're in a dark space that has like holes in it, you can see like little streams of light. Yeah, there's like a little bit of
Yeah.
that, but mostly
Yeah.
it's just sounds of Ruby walking. Probably Oliver's there too.
Yeah.
And
Oliver's just like idly making comments as they're going through the library, like, oh, well, this section looks rather nice.
uh I'm going to have Duster sort of slowly lift up the lid and peek his head out. I'm gonna roll a perception check just to see like if Duster realizes where they are.
Perception time.
Perception time. What is my perception?
Perception time.
What is my perception? It's a plus that.
It's a plus
I
of
got
that.
an
Oh boy.
8. Uh, Duster. All Duster knows is, wow, things are big.
Things are, in fact, big.
Also,
This
Ruby, your
is a
basket has
life.
moved on its own.
Ah, yes. The basket is. I'd like to imagine that like Ruby set it down on the table, and that was on like one of the tables in the library, and that was what the bump that woke Duster up.
Yeah.
It's like Ruby just looks over and sees like Duster peeking out. And like after the initial surprise of, oh, there's a rat in my basket.
A rat in your basket? How terrible. No.
Ruby just gives Duster a little wave.
uh, Duster, like, makes, like, a eye contact with you. It's like, oh no, I've been caught. But then just has, then has the mental realization of, oh wait, it's just Ruby. And, uh, like, slides back into the basket a little bit before, like, heaving the top up, like, far enough
Aw.
where he can, like, slip out and onto the table.
Aw.
Uh,
I like to think that Ruby picked a corner of the library that's just kind of like, one of those corners where like nobody ever really goes to.
yeah.
Just quiet corner, good for studying. Very nice.
Hi, hey, Ruby. Hi, Ruby. Uh, where are we?
uh, hey, I'm gonna ask a really important question. Hey, does cartoon sign, does Duster know it?
Absolutely not. Duster just stares blankly at you.
Yep. Ruby starts making the arm motions and doing the talking with the hands, and Duster understands nothing.
Yeah, Duster is staring at you blankly.
I'm not even gonna roll insight, because, like, let's be honest, Ruby's probably used to this.
Yeah. Like, if you could see his eyes, he probably would have just blinked.
Blink blonk.
Uh,
I think, like, after a bit, Ruby just sighs because, oh yeah, all right, and then she looks over to Oliver, who like is nearby, like picking up some of the books off of the shelves and bringing them over on his back. Like he hops up to the table and like sets the books down before he's like, "Oh, hello, Duster. Uh,
hey, Oliver.
Ruby's saying hello."
Oh, hi, Ruby. Sorry, I haven't really had much experience with that sort of thing a lot.
Oh, it's quite all right. Not everyone knows cartoon sign.
Yeah, it's
I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm here to be the translator. And like Oliver very proudly lifts up his head.
well, you're doing a very good job.
Oh my gosh, Oliver immediately preens. uh,
Yeah.
well, and like Ruby's just kind of like looking at Duster, and like Oliver's looking at Ruby, and there's just kind of like a little bit of an awkward pause, I feel.
Uh, though really, where are we?
Oh, we're at the library in Little Corner.
Hold on. I need to roll something.
Oh my gosh, does Duster not know what a library is?
Um,
Well, considering that's an 11. Does Duster not know what a library
no.
is?
He looks like he's thinking, and then thinking harder. It's just a library.
I think like Ruby just automatically starts like signing out like an explanation because like she immediately gets the vibes of, oh, maybe don't know what it is. I can answer that because Ruby's a smart kid and she likes answering things. And like Oliver is quick to jump up into the explanation. Oh, well, a library is where and he like watches Ruby's hands motions for a little bit before continuing. Library is where I'm sorry, my brain is the words are dying.
It's okay. It's alright.
uh, a library is where a building with large collections of books and whatnot, where people can borrow said books and return them at a later date for reading and such.
Oh. Uh, I I don't think I've ever been to a library.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Can I get Duster to make an insight check
uh, yeah,
on
sure.
Ruby?
What is my insight? 19!
Oh my gosh. Okay. Ruby, at the mentioning of Duster having never been to a library, Ruby looks very, very excited all of a sudden.
Uh, Duster
Like,
is regretting his life choices. Click continue.
wait, what did you say? I didn't hear.
Duster is regretting his life choices of mentioning he's not been to a library, but continue.
Oh my gosh. I think, like, oh gosh, Ruby, like, very excitedly starts grabbing at one of the books on the pile that Oliver brought over and, opens it very excitedly. uh, Oliver immediately pipes up, like, oh, Ruby's wondering if you have, like, well, if you haven't been to a library, she's wondering if you have any favorite stories, favorite books?
Not in particular.
Hmm.
I don't think they would. I think my parents made them up, if they were anything.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm thinking now. Ah.
If you want to just go with the classic, do a knockoff Hansel and Gretel.
Oh my gosh.
Pick up a book.
Oh,
Which book is it?
pick up a book. Uh, you know what'd be really funny? You know what'd be really, really funny? If
Yeah.
it was Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sure. It's Little Red Riding Hood. And does Ruby hold it out for Duster to see?
Yeah. I think
Uh,
like she opens it up to like one of the first pages to like show off one of the illustrations inside.
oh, that's a very nice picture.
Yeah.
Did they like draw it on the page? And like he's inspecting this book to see if it's like painted on or if it's like anything
Ooh.
like that.
To like see if it's printed or if it's painted.
Yeah.
You know, just for fun. Just for fun.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Investigation, I guess.
Investigation. What is my investigation? What is my investigation? That's not too
Who
bad.
knows?
That's not too bad. That's a 13.
Well, luckily it's not that hard, not that difficult to tell. Yeah, this definitely printed. Definitely printed on the page. Mass
Huh.
produced kind of book.
I don't think I've seen something like this before. Huh.
Hmm. Okay, I think I'm gonna have Ruby do an insight check now on that. Okay, what is your insight? Oh gosh, Ruby. You have such high intelligence, but your wisdom, Ruby.
17!
Oh, it's a 17, so that's actually pretty good.
What did you want to gain from this?
Just like, has like Duster seen a book before?
Maybe not one like this. Maybe, he's very small.
Very small.
You'd imagine that probably handling books like this would be a hassle.
Oh gosh, yeah.
He's
There's
8
kind of
inches
like the
tall,
absent
folks.
realization on Ruby's face of like, oh hey, this book is pretty big. Like this book is bigger than the Duster is tall.
Yeah.
So
He's,
there's just like the absent realization of, oh hey,
yeah.
you have a real tough time carrying it and turning the pages and whatnot.
Yeah. He definitely hasn't read at least this book or books of its size before.
Ah, yes.
AKA most books. You know what? With that description, like, if Ruby, like, puts it down flat on the table, he can literally just stand on it. Just
Oh my
stand
gosh,
on
yeah.
the book.
Stand upon the book.
Yeah.
Like, I think she probably does that. She just like lays it flat on the table and I was gonna have Oliver say something, but the saying has left my brain. Crap.
That's alright. That's alright.
uh okay, it has come back. Oliver eventually pipes up. Oh, Miss Ruby's wondering if you wanted to read this story with her, perhaps?
Uh, Dusty freezes for a moment and looks at the words in the book and then, like, walks to the other side of the table where, like, you can read them upside, like, right side up.
Upside. Yeah.
And he stares at it for a moment and he stares at it. And man, this is an awfully long time for someone to be staring at a book.
I'm gonna have Oliver make. I'm gonna have Oliver make an insight first. Okay.
It's not very hard. Duster's very bad at hiding this. Oliver. It doesn't look like Duster is processing any of the words on this page. At all.
Oh my gosh. Like, Oliver just like is thinking over this and he's like, oh, we can roll for Ruby real quick. I don't think Ruby gets it. Since that's
No.
an 8.
No, that's an 8.
So like Oliver is just sitting there, absently realizing this, and he's like, Duster, do you know how to read?
I know how to read.
Insight again.
For me?
Gosh. Like, no, actually, you do deception.
What is my deception? This is the wrong character sheet. What is my deception? I went to the character sheet on my table and not the one on the computer. Deception. Not great. 16.
Oh, but that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh no, Oliver.
Seems to be telling the truth, but he's still staring at that page.
Well, Ruby understands at least.
Yeah.
That's a 19 on her insight.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Duster, if you look at Ruby, she just has the most deadpan expression you've ever seen on a child. Staring directly at you.
Duster is starting to get nervous because this is a lot of pressure. I can read. Yeah, I can read.
Ruby just tilts her head and then shakes it. She can tell you're lying, Duster. I think like after a little bit, Oliver like looks at Ruby and like Ruby looks at him and like there's like the cool thing about freaking wizards and familiars is that they can mentally communicate.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me.
Yeah.
So like there's like a conversation that happens between them that Duster obviously cannot hear. And then eventually
you don't even need to roll insight for this, but Duster, if like I want to describe it as in Animal Crossing when like the emote where it's just like the worry droplets. It's literally just that. Like
just the worry.
Like he's very small. He has no money.
He has no money. He's just doing his best.
He's doing his best.
He's doing his best.
He's doing his
I think
best.
after a little bit, Oliver pipes up, well, if you can, and he like looks at Ruby, who just has this little mischievous grin on her face. And Oliver sighs and he's like, well, if you can read, would you mind reading something out loud for us real quick?
Uh, he
I am
turns.
so sorry, Duster, but Ruby is bullying you.
He's been put on the spot, and like he like completely freezes for a moment, and just looks at the page, and I don't even know what sentence he says, but it is completely wrong. Like, it is the entire wrong genre of books. That's how out of place it is.
Just like trying to read fairy tale and it sounds like a non-fiction.
Yeah, no, he just said some sort of fact about campfires.
Oh
It is.
gosh. Like Ruby is just like kind of like silently snickering behind her hand before she lets out a sigh and then just like gestures to Oliver and then towards the book. And then Oliver just kind of snorts before he well Ruby wants me to let you know that she wants to try and teach you how to read because you obviously cannot.
Duster puts his head in his hands. It's just. Look, Common is hard. I haven't read Common in years.
Aww.
Common isn't even my first language, please, come on.
Aw. I think like Ruby just kind of feels like a little bit bad and she just like pats Duster on the back just like very gently.
Yeah, I could uh could we could I learn the sign thing too? I just
Oh my gosh. Ruby looks excited again.
I don't really and he like stares at his like little rat hands. He's just like I don't get how it works, but I think it would be convenient.
Yeah. Like there's definitely nodding in agreement from both Ruby and Oliver. And I think Ruby thinks for a bit before she sets like down like all the books and just kind of pushes them aside. And I guess we can roll intelligence, I suppose.
Roll intelligence.
Okay, I'm
Lovely.
gonna rolling intelligence for Ruby to see how well she's attempting to teach the basics.
10.
Oh boy. Okay. Ruby, please.
11.
I think there is some definite miscommunication because Ruby's like attempting to teach Duster, but his hands are very small.
His hands are very small.
His hands are very, very small, and it's kind of hard to see him doing certain signs, and she's just like, wait. And like she has to stop and squint.
He's also a UPAan, so he's technically flat.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, he's a UPAan.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like I'll go into this later, but like it's flat in like a sort of foldy way. So whenever he folds his arm a certain way, it's like paper is being bent.
Oh my gosh. It's like Paper Mario.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, that's so neat. Oh no.
It's why I look strangely whenever like Duster is drawn from the back because like the art style it's replicating does not do that, so it throws me off a little. Yeah, but Duster,
Oh my gosh.
little
Fun facts about Duster today, huh?
fun facts about Duster.
Neat.
Can't read. Doesn't know sign. He's UVAing. Fun.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
I think it's also a thing of you're trying to teach him both common and sign at the same time, and he's
Hmm.
having like a little bit of trouble keeping up.
I'm gonna
He's having a
make.
lot
I'm
of
gonna
trouble
make.
keeping up.
I am going to make intelligence check for Ruby to see if she recognizes this.
Of course you can.
Okay, 14. I think it takes her a bit, but she eventually catches on that, oh, hey, this is actually two languages. Maybe we need to hold up a bit. And I think, like, she, like, looks at Oliver to, like, explain, and Oliver just very nervously, well, I think we need to take a break for a moment because Ruby says that we might be going into this a little bit too quickly.
Oh, uh, okay.
It might be easier to learn sign after we get a little bit of the basics of common down, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Hmm. And like Oliver thinks for a bit with like this little hoof tapping his chin.
I mean,
Hmm.
I know Undercommon if either of you know it. I can I I can read it.
Oh my gosh. I think like Ruby and Oliver both blink and like look at each other because I gotta say, Ruby does not know Ruby definitely does not know Undercommon.
Uh,
And like Oliver knows the languages Ruby knows. So
uh, uh,
hmm. Hmm. There's
uh,
just some definite think thunking going on here.
uh, uh,
Hmm.
I I mean, I know how to speak common, so maybe just
There's definitely a well yeah expression on Ruby's face.
uh, uh, I'm gonna hold on. I'm just gonna roll a straight d20. Okay. Uh, Duster. Duster, like, for a brief moment, looks exasperated, but, like, it quickly goes back to his normal nervous state.
Aw. I am so sorry, Duster, but Ruby is 13. She is a sassy child.
I mean, you could write down common words and just tell me what they are, and I can just translate it from there, maybe?
I think like Ruby thinks for a bit before she nods in agreement. And I guess we roll another intelligence.
Another intelligence.
I want to argue advantage because because A, they're not doing two languages at the same time this time,
Yeah,
and B, they're taking it a lot slower.
yeah. Alright.
Oh boy.
Advantage. God. 19.
Good. Okay, that's great. So let's see how Ruby's doing teaching. That's pretty good. We're sticking with the 14 and
Stick it up
definitely
for.
not the 6. I think like Ruby Ruby basically knows like three different sign languages at this point.
Yeah,
So like there's like some points where she mixes up a couple of them and she has to pause and like stop herself like wait hold on. Like
yeah,
she literally like tells Oliver to like pipe up whenever she gets something wrong and
yeah,
like it takes her a bit to make sure she's doing the right stuff, but eventually she like figures out okay these are the right signs, these are the right signs.
yeah. The right signs that go
uh,
with the right languages.
yeah. And then with that 19 I say you do pretty well.
Yeah. I'd imagine
Yeah.
they'd gotten like a little like scroll of paper out and like
Mhm.
I would say Duster is writing with a pen, but like pens are like half are like the size of Duster. Actually, I can
Oh
do
my
that. Wait, hold
gosh.
on. Where's my pens?
Paper speed. Oh wait, no, pens. Yes, yes.
It a pen is like the size of a staff to Duster.
Aww.
Like it's literally going up to like his mid torso, but
Aww.
like he's holding a pen just like with both hands and sort of like I imagine like Ruby writes down some of like the common words on the
Mhm.
paper and then like Duster is writing in a completely different language on the other on like the other side of those words. Like you do
Just
not
like
recognize this script. It is
do
very
not recognize it at all.
it's like geometric in origin, but
Mhm.
like it's completely different.
Yeah. Ruby's just looking at this like, ooh, she is definitely looking at that like I want to learn that eventually, but not now. We're focusing on teaching Duster now.
Yeah. And like eventually Duster has like this little neat cheat sheet. Some of the words are crossed out from where Ruby accidentally mistranslated.
Yeah.
But like he's got a little cheat sheet just to like study.
Aw.
It's a little study sheet.
Yeah. Just the basics. Just the little bits.
Uh,
I think like as they're doing this, Ruby's just kind of absently watching Duster. And she's gonna try to sign something and see if he understands. Just like ask him a question.
okay. I'm gonna roll an
Uh
intelligence just to see if he's picked anything up.
yeah. Well, considering it was a 19, I'd
No!
say you have advantage.
That's a 4! You said I had advantage? Or
Yeah.
that's another
There
19!
we go. Okay. Uh it probably takes him a little bit for a Duster to process it because it was originally a 4 and then a 19.
Yeah.
But Ruby asked, "What's it like being so little?"
Hold on.
Just like not like in a rude way, but in a curious way.
Uh, Duster, like, absent-mindedly sketches, like, the hand symbols next to some of the words.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, well, it's... You're small? I don't know. What's it like being big?
Like Ruby just thinks for a bit before she signs. Well, you're big. Hmm.
Uh, well, you don't have to eat as much. Uh, you can hide better. Uh, people don't no people shouldn't notice you as often. People shouldn't notice you as often.
Hmm.
Roll an insight on that.
Rolling insight. Ruby,
Insight.
please.
A 12.
12. Ah,
Small
really?
people shouldn't be seen.
Shouldn't be seen. Hmm.
Yeah.
That carries a tone. That carries a tone.
Carries a tone.
The question is, does Ruby recognize that tone? I'm thinking.
uh, we I, it it differentiates from tiny to tiny to community, but some people like doing it on their own. Some people some people stay in groups. Uh, sometimes sometimes the pigs find out. Sometimes the pigs hopefully the pigs don't find out. Uh, you know,
Hmm. Okay. I
things like
think.
that.
Can you roll an insight real quick on Ruby?
Hmm. Yeah, sure. Where's my insight again? I've already forgotten.
That's a food.
An 8.
Oh gosh. Well, Ruby's hard to read because, like, obviously you're a little nervous around pigs, given from what the clues are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like for this
Ruby has like
explanation,
a sort of concerned expression, I suppose, but it's not obvious as to why.
uh, uh, Duster just kind of holds the pen he was writing with, like, a little tighter. And it's just like, you could get caught underfoot sometime. That's not the greatest. Uh,
Hmm. I
uh,
think Ruby just kind of like absently lays down on the table next to Duster, like like folding her arms and like looking at him, just to
yeah.
kind of make herself look a little smaller, if that makes sense.
Uh, it's, it's fine. You're, you're not as big.
I think like Ruby looks like she wants to sass, but she just nods.
Uh, I don't, I don't understand how you guys get that tall. How do you get that tall? How do you, how do you, I
Ruby
don't,
just shrugs. Ruby just like shrugs and says, "Some people call it growth spurts. I haven't had mine yet, but."
I'm gonna roll a d20 just to see if he picked any of that up. Oh! Oh, he did! He
Oh,
did!
he did.
He
He's
did!
catching on fast.
Yeah! That's a nat 20 for you folks at home. Uh, Duster, like, absentmindedly scribbles down, like, the signs on the sheet of paper. Uh, I, yeah, I had a growth spurt. It wasn't like that, though.
Ruby like has her eyes are like shining, and she starts signing another another question, like, how were you littler? How small
Uh,
were you? And like she's just trying to picture like a tiny Duster, and like she's getting excited over it.
uh, well, I had a growth spurt when I was around 19. Let's see, hold on. And, like, he,
I think Ruby like stops in surprise at that.
uh, Duster freezes in the middle of him, like, turning over the piece of It's, like, a long, complicated process to turn over this piece of paper, by the way. But he was,
Aw.
like, in the middle of it, and he, like, has both hands, and he, like, looks at Ruby and goes, uh,
Ruby's just like, you're older than me. Let's just like signing excitedly.
uh, yeah?
Gosh, Ruby is
Uh,
excited. She's learning things.
I, I don't, how old are
uh, Ruby looks like she starts signing something before she quickly changes it to 13.
you? Duster fumbles the paper and drops it in, like, a half forward position. Uh, uh, what?
Ruby
He's
signs 13 again. And actually, do you want to roll an insight real quick?
sure. That's an unnatural 20.
Uh, the number that she was signing before 13 was a different number. She never finished it, so you don't know what it was, but she's not 13.
Uh, 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 oh, hold on, give me a second. And, like, he turns around and, like, silently screams into his hands for a second in a sort of way that's just like, why is there a child here? And then turns back around. Like, Duster is not good at determining ages for bigs. They're all just very
Yeah,
tall.
Duster's valid. Duster is valid. They're very tall. They're
Like,
very frightening.
look, he's not tiny. Like, differentiate in size, like like normal people do. And so, like, he knows people who's like like way smaller than him that are like older than him, and people that
Yeah.
are maybe like a bit taller than him that are younger than him, and you know, it's
Yeah.
it's hard to tell sometimes. And then you have bigs who are just big. They're just big. They're just skyscrapers.
Glances over at Antler.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so tall. Like Ruby, Duster's not as afraid of Ruby because Ruby isn't that tall. But come on. Okay. Uh,
Oh.
okay. All right. Uh, 13. Got it. Uh, and he continues flipping over this piece of paper. Uh, all right.
Oh yes, continuing the long process.
He got like halfway done before, so it's just a matter of like pushing over the other side. And like
Yeah.
he takes his two-handed pen again and like scribbles on the back just like a sort of accurate representation of what size he is now. And then he draws like a shorter version that's hold on, let me just it's like I'd say around like 3.5 inches tall, which is very short compared to the
Oh
8 inches
my
tall.
gosh.
Uh,
That's so little.
this was. I mean, I had a normal size from like this is the size I think I was at 19. Well, before 19, and then I had a growth
Aww.
spurt at 19, and then you know, I really oh boy,
Ruby's
I'm
just like looking at this, and like you can tell she's like, if she could talk, there would be just like the aw kind of adorable squeal kind of noises coming from her.
uh I I do you it may be a bit hard to believe, but I'm actually rather tall for a tiny.
Yeah, Ruby just kind of like nods in agreement and like gestures to the drawings. Because, like, obviously, you are tall if that's how little you were before at 19.
Uh I few Chinese that I knew some who were, and he draws like 2.5 inches. I knew someone this size, uh, which is like smaller still. There was,
Aww.
uh, it's it's hard for me to remember, but I knew someone who was taller than that, but I don't think they were quite 3 feet. I think
Hmm.
it's, uh, it's been a long time. It's been a while. It's been a while. I I
I
used to
think.
know a lot of people. Uh, Go ahead,
Hmm.
Avi.
I think Ruby want. I'm. Gosh, I want to roll insight again, but I'm worried Ruby's gonna ruin it with her low rolls.
You can roll insight. You can roll insight.
I'm rolling insight.
That's a 19.
Oh, thank you, Ruby.
What do you want to know?
Like, Ruby's like listening to this, and she's absolutely realizing, okay, so he knew a lot of people at some point, but it's been a while since he's seen them. And like she's thinking about her own experience and she's like, hmm. Hmm. And like then she starts signing, do you have a big family?
uh, with that 19, Duster full on like fumbles and drops his pen.
Oh gosh. I think like Ruby tenses a bit because like she has the worry of, oh shoot, did I ask a wrong question? Kind of little kid worry.
Uh, 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 he's like I would describe it as like on a loading screen because he's trying to decide what to say. Because Ruby with that 19, it doesn't seem great. what he wants to, just like based on his nervousness.
Oh no.
It doesn't seem
Oh no.
great, but he doesn't seem like too. He doesn't seem too caught up about it. He just doesn't want you to be like, he, you're 13. He wants to like
Yeah.
not not like just say something that a 13-year-old might not be for a 13-year-old.
You'd be surprised. Anyway.
Uh, not particularly. I um bandages. Uh, well, my parents died. I
Oh.
um uh I uh it's like with that 19, he is trying very like he is considering telling you something that he doesn't know if he should tell you or not.
Oh gosh. Well, like, can you actually make a real quick insight roll for like literally what you just said?
Okay. A 9.
Uh, there doesn't seem to be a big reaction from Ruby when you mention death, which
Oh.
is a little weird. A little weird. But
Children are like that sometimes. It's fine.
yeah. I think Ruby just kind of like starts shaking her hands like and starts signing. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
Okay. Uh Other than that, I
Because like
think
she's realized she's pressed into some possibly some territory that maybe Duster isn't quite comfortable talking about yet.
yeah. Yeah. Uh
Yeah, so like
yeah.
she's curious, but she doesn't want him to feel too uncomfortable because she likes him.
Uh I did have a family friend. Uh he uh funny I I used to know a lot more common than I did now. Most he couldn't sign isn't very common in wasn't very common in the community.
Ruby
Nor
nods along.
he spoke mostly through writing things down. I knew a lot more sign back then than I do, like, not sign, uh, common. Yeah, I knew a lot more common back then than I do now. Uh, it's, yeah, I
Hmm.
haven't read things in a while, and most of them are large letters, and not, you know,
And like Ruby makes like a little finger pinch motion, like of little letters kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, uh, yeah, easy, easy to read from far away, but it's also far away and probably high up, so don't get a lot of chances to read. And also, I was in a forest. You don't really see. There aren't any libraries in the forest.
I think Ruby perks up at that. And her next question is how long were you in the forest?
Hold on. Let me do. And he's like, he only has like 3 fingers, but like he's counting
Ruby
on them.
Ruby offers her hand to count.
uh, Duster looks a little startled for a second, and then just uh, like absentmindedly just like counts her hands too. Uh, Probably somewhere around 10-ish years.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to roll insight real quick?
17.
Oh my gosh. Duster, Ruby thinks you're so cool.
Also, Ruby, if you want to do some math,
Math. Math.
he's
Math.
been in the forest for 10 years, and he's
Been in the forest
definitely
for
older
10
than
years.
19.
Good golly. Like, I think Ruby is sitting here, like, absolutely realizing, like, good golly, this Tiny is almost 30, possibly more than 30.
This Tiny is way older than you thought this Tiny was.
Been around a long time, man.
Yeah.
Ruby has respect for Duster that she did not have before.
Surprisingly. uh, uh,
Oh.
uh, you know, I I traveled around a bit, hopped a few trains. They're not too hard to get into when you're
Ruby
literally
just nods in
this tall.
agreement.
Yeah.
She's had a little bit of experience train hopping. Just a
Uh,
little bit though.
yeah.
And like she signs it's probably easier to hide on the trains when you're and then she just makes the little gesture with her hands.
Yeah.
Just like yay hi.
Yeah. You know, blend right in. Yeah. At least I'm smart enough not to go for, mouse traps.
Aw.
uh,
Ruby just like thinks about that for a second before like she just hmm hmm. Like she looks like she has a question she wants to ask before she thinks better of it.
you, you can ask. It's fine.
I think Ruby just kind of like shakes her head and decides to like try to change the topic. Uh, I think Ruby just like dodges the question and sighs. You're doing really good picking up this up, by the way.
I mean, he rolled a 20, Obby.
Yeah, he's doing real good.
uh, yeah. Uh, I've been, uh, yeah. I, I guess I have. Uh,
Oh, hold on.
uh,
I'm getting messages on my computer and they're distracting me. I'm
oh
sorry.
no.
Ah! How do I turn off the notifications? It's fine. Everything's fine. I'll figure it out later. What was I gonna say? Ah, shoot. Hmm. Hmm. I think I was gonna say left my brain.
uh, okay. Then what's it like being tall?
I think like Ruby thinks for a bit, like putting her hand on her chin. Hmm. Hmm. Well, she can't hum, but she's basically doing the equivalent of humming when you can't hum, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Just doing a thinky. Uh, and I think she signs, well, it's easier to reach things on the top shelf.
uh, Usually I just climb the shelves.
Ooh.
Uh, Having the ability to climb when you're stuck in a place with lots of trees is a little helpful.
Yeah, Ruby nods in agreement. She can see how that can be helpful, like, especially when there's like things up in the tree that you can eat when they, yeah, fruit,
Yeah.
whatnot. Uh, this is so good. I'm loving this.
Same.
Just them asking questions. Them doing thinky thunks and doing some learning. uh, I think eventually like Ruby just kind of like looks around the library before she pulls what looks like a little pocket watch out of her pocket and looks at the time. And she just kind of like lets out a sigh and she starts signing. We might have to go soon if we want to get back to Ruindal before nightfall.
Oh, right. We should. Is it night? Uh, and he like looks out the window to see. Is there like a window nearby?
Roll, roll perception.
Would there be a window nearby? What is my perception? What is my perception? My perception. I can read. I can read paper. 18.
There is a window nearby. Good job. You found it. You found the
I
window.
found the window.
You found the window.
Duster like looks outside. Like even if the watch was in view, he does not look at the watch. You can probably glean he does not know how to read watches either.
Oh my gosh. Ruby mentally makes the note to teach that to him too eventually, but you know what?
What use do you have for watches when you're small?
Exactly.
It's probably the size of his chest. You gonna hold
it probably is.
And he like looks at the window to like
Oh.
check like the daylight that's left. Oh, should we get going?
Ruby nods and she moves to stand up from the table, and I'm gonna roll something for Oliver real quick. Because he's been busy. During this, Oliver's been busy off doing his own thing. Okay, no, Oliver had no such luck.
Oh no.
Oliver comes back from looking around the library, and he just kind of sighs and looks up at Ruby like, I'm sorry, I couldn't find the books that you wanted. Ruby sighs, and she inwardly debates as she looks at the watch and out at the sky.
What are you looking for?
And Ruby signs, I just wanted to get a couple books because I still have to learn magic and stuff. So I've been trying to find books that will help that a little bit more.
Oh, right.
I'm pretty good at it, but at the same time, I still gotta learn.
Magic.
If I want to get better.
Right, that's a thing. Magic is a thing. Yeah. Duster had completely forgotten how magic works despite being a ranger. And he takes his pen and just puts it in his hammer space, which is just literally tucking it behind him.
Nice.
And just goes through the process of folding up this very large piece of paper and doing the same to it. It's a very large piece of paper compared to
very
Duster.
large. Very large.
Yeah.
I gotta say, every time anyone uses hammer space, Ruby watches very intently because hammer spaces are cool. And she does not have one.
I don't think my hammer space is big enough to fit a book in it.
And Ruby just shrugs and pats her picnic basket.
That's fair
enough. And I think Ruby is gonna roll investigation real quick to see if she can find the books that she wanted. There was a list of things that she wanted to grab.
By the way, Duster, as soon as Ruby gets up from the table, just kind of tucks back into the picnic basket.
Aww. Aww.
Just out of habit of staying out of sight. It's very
so
convenient.
Cute. It's just that's really cute.
Yeah.
I'm just hold soft at Duster at all times. Please know this.
Duster does not know how libraries work still, so
yeah.
He can't be much help here.
Okay, Ruby got a 16 for what she wanted, so I think Ruby has a mental checklist of the kind of books that she wants to grab. First she goes to the history section and tries to find interesting looking books on like the local history, like when Little Corner was settled, or if there's any historical accounts for Ruindal. I'm not sure if there would be, but Ruby's certainly gonna try to find some.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, Fable is in the chat. Maybe Fable can like provide an answer, perhaps. Okay. So there's a little bit, but not a lot. I think Ruby's just gonna take what she can find, which is probably like one book. Maybe a scroll if it's older.
Yeah.
And she's gonna tuck that into her picnic basket, making sure not to startle Duster or jostle him.
Anytime like Ruby puts a book in the basket, Duster like kind of climbs up onto the wall of the basket and then just goes on top of the book.
Then Ruby goes to like a section where there's a bunch of maps, and once again getting local maps, but she's also like looking for maps of like Inkwell in general. Because she's still very new to Inkwell, and if she's gonna do any traveling, she wants to make sure she has a map to like know where the peck she's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And eventually she also gets like some extra books to like study magic she doesn't quite know yet. And yeah. And now she's going to attempt to sneak out of the library with books without borrowing them, if that makes sense. She has no intention of returning these books.
Duster. Duster sees nothing wrong with this, and is just like kind of looking at one of the covers of the books right now. Like
Gosh.
using his knowledge that he's gained today to try reading it.
Aww. Oh, that's very good. Oh, I like that. Actually, before Ruby starts sneaking out of the library, she makes sure she's alone. And like there's nobody in sight before she casts a neat little spell. Let me read it up real quick and make sure it's right. She's gonna cast Alter Self on herself.
Oh! Alter Self!
Alter Self, yes. Now, one of the things about Alter Self is that you can change your appearance and transform what you look like. Ruby, in case she does get caught, is trying to make herself look different. And I have art because I planned this.
Oh, you have art? I was not aware of this. Give it to me.
Ruby uses Alter Self to disguise herself as a Toonkind fox person.
Oh! This is great. I love this. I love this.
Yes. Yes.
I love this.
Is she showing off a little bit? Maybe.
Wonderful.
And then she's gonna roll stealth to see if she could look inconspicuous. Oh boy, Ruby, please. No.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be. Don't. That's a 7.
That is in fact a 7. Oh gosh, I think like on her way out she trips on something. But like, like some of the books she grabbed just tumble out of the picnic basket and like.
Hold on, I'm gonna roll a dex save to see if Duster falls out too.
Oh gosh.
Okay, what's my dex save? What is my dex save?
Uh-oh, that's a nat 1.
Yeah, that's a nat 1.
Oh my gosh.
God, I want to say Duster wasn't even paying attention and was just like looking at a scroll, and like he tumbles out, and for a moment he's just completely surprised.
Oh gosh. I think like the both of them are like in stunned silence for a bit. Before yeah, they're busted. Somebody definitely notices that she was trying to leave.
Oh boy. Uh,
So Ruby's
Duster.
very quickly scooping up the books and like trying to hold out the basket for Duster.
Duster doesn't even like. Duster's been caught. This is a losing battle. Very obviously. Duster just like grabs onto Ruby's sleeve and just goes, go, 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 go.
Going. Like Ruby just takes off.
Yeah. Duster is still holding the
gosh.
scroll, by the way. He's not disguised at all.
Just like I just imagine like Ruby scoops him up and they're both just fuming. Gosh. Do we want to roll something to see how well they're doing?
No. No, we've been going on for an hour.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I think eventually like Ruby just like. Wait, yeah, that's a good point. Hey, Duster, Ruby looks a little different.
Duster does a double take. It's just like, what the fuck?
Ruby's like trying frantically to sign, but it's a little tricky because she has one hand free.
By the way, that who the fuck? You didn't understand like a word of that who the fuck. It was just like. It sounded like very high pitched and garbled.
Oh my gosh. Was that squeak speech?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh. Like Ruby has the mindset of run now, explain later. So I think we just kind of end the scene with like them skedoodling over into the crowd of people.
Yeah.
A crowd of people and
Yeah.
just running away.
A perfect book heist. A perfect book heist.
Perfect book heist. Nothing went wrong.
Nothing went wrong. Nothing went wrong.
Oh gosh.
Remind Duster not to go to Littlest Corner again without a disguise on.
Oh,
He's definitely
gosh.
wearing a disguise next time.
Hold on, I have to say my brain thought right now before it leaves. But
Yeah.
Colin getting a job to look for a fox that stole books from the library.
Has a pet rat. Has a fox who has a pet rat. Alright, and with that, I'm gonna wait. Fable wanted to say something. Yes. Oh. Oliver.
It's fine. Oliver's a familiar. I think he just kind of got left behind, and he just sighs and he sits down at the entrance of the library because eventually Ruby's gonna snap her fingers and get him to teleport back to her. Because that's another neat thing about familiars. But until then, Oliver's just gonna chill in the library. He gets a little bit of a break for once.
Oh god. Oh god.
Oh,
Alright,
that's
with that, I'm gonna end the recording. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.